Hi guys, so this is going to be a quick tutorial on how to create good creatives that will make you millions for your brand. My name is Juliet and I'm the founder of Minty Ad. Minty Ad is an e-commerce marketing agency that has been in the industry for the last 8 years. So naturally, we have created a lot of creatives and have worked with a lot of brands of different sizes and done a lot of media buying to kind of understand what kind of creatives work or have a very high likelihood of working and which ones don't. So this is going to be a really quick tutorial on our processes of coming up with a winning creative. So why some creatives generate millions and others just cost money? When you look at the creatives from face value, some of them, if you just look at them, they all look kind of similar to each other, but some of them make a lot of money, generates a lot of revenue, and some just flops in a week. And in the next slides, I'm basically going to explain why, because it's important to know why something happens. Okay, so this is a very unpopular opinion, but I personally think that it's really helpful to think of marketing as dating. In dating, when you meet someone for the first time, it takes a little bit of time for you to get to the decision of getting married to someone. And it would be really strange to ask someone you just went on a date to get married to you right away, right? So it's kind of like the same for marketing. Just as how in dating, you want to slowly over time build trust, get to know the other person, and build conviction to get married. In marketing, it's the same for your customers. If you ask for sales the first time they see you, it's going to be as uncomfortable as asking someone to get married to you the first date. You want to kind of think of it as a step-by-step process of slowly building trust, increasing their belief and conviction towards your brand to kind of move them towards a purchasing decision. What I just explained in marketing is called funnel, and I want to mention this concept especially because I think one of the first things that you need to think about when creating a good creative is to really think about where your customers are, where future customers are in the journey. If you create a creative that's asking for direct sales for people who just met your brand today, just imagine what's the likelihood of that creative working really well. Probably not very high, right? So that is why I personally believe this is the first step to think about when you are planning a creative. Where are they in the funnel? Are they the first time people that's just gonna get to know my brand? Did they run into my brand a couple of times on different platforms or via email? Or are they like a customer that has purchased from me before? So the creatives really need to match the level of trust and conviction and where they are in terms of interaction with the brand for the creative to be successful. And I think it's kind of one of the most common mistakes a lot of business owners make. So I really want to mention that as the first thing. And the second thing that I think you need to think about is the market research, which I believe is the most important part of creating a creative that really works. And that's because if you don't really know why people buy your product, what kind of problem they want to solve, what kind of desires they have, if you don't really read people's mind on what they're really looking for, cannot really communicate why your brand is the one they're looking for. So with the market research, you really want to gain data on your customers' motivation, your customers' desires, and what kind of problems they have, and what kind of things or issues they have like the highest emotional attachment to, and to use that point to communicate your products to them. If you don't really understand what they're looking for, how can you effectively say this is what or communicate this is what you're looking for to your customer? So basically, how can you find out about what your customers' motivations, designs, desires, problems are? And it might be really industry specific, and you might know some other places where you can find these candid opinions of your future buyers. But these are the more common places that you can often find people's candid opinions, which is the social media platforms like TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook group, Amazon, and Looks Reviews, Reddit. If you go to these places, you can look at people's comment section. Maybe you can look at the product reviews of either your product or product that solves the same problem as your product. So for example, if you're selling a shampoo for frizzy hair, you can look at other products like other shampoos that also solves problem of frizzy hair, and then kind of get the review videos, look at videos related to it, even videos posted by your competitor, look at the comment section, what do people say about it, or just like a community of people with frizzy hair like on Facebook or Reddit, and then go in there to kind of see what kind of things people want to get resolved, what's their biggest issue. Is it like having uncontrollable hair when it's rainy, for example? Then that can be one of your marketing angles, as you know that is like one of the biggest problems that people have. And Amazon is also a great place because a lot of people shop in Amazon, so they typically probably have the product that you sell already. And if you look at the comment section or the review section, people are pretty honest there on the review section, so you can go through them. Just really try to understand their motivation, desires, and problems. And I also created this slide on questions you can ask yourself during the research phase. These are just like a starting questions. How do people feel about your brand, product, or services? What's their biggest concern? What kind of improvements they want to see? Is there any confusing point about how to use the product or how the product works? These are all the things that you can ask yourself to build a meaningful data that you can later turn into marketing angles. So if you're a brand that is just starting out, we recommend you come up with maybe 3 marketing angles to start with, 3 different marketing angles. Okay, so copy. Once you come up with 3 marketing angles, you want to write your copy. And one of the things that I want to mention when it comes to writing a good copy, and by copy, it can mean a lot of things. There is, when it comes to Facebook advertising, there is a section where you can write the text, so that's part of the copy. And for static ads, your headlines, text that goes on the graphic ad would be the copy. And for UGC or video ads, your script would be the copy. And so one tip that I really want to mention here is always try to match the copy to your customer avatar. When you write the text for Facebook ads for the text section, or write a headline or text on the static ads, always think about who your customers are, what kind of language they speak, what kind of tonality of voice they have, and try to match that. So for example, if you use a vocabulary that a lot of girls use in their 20s, and if you use that vocabulary to like a male brand, then when guys look at the ad and look at this vocabulary, they'll probably not find it very much resonating. And the resonance is really, really important when it comes to creating a successful creative. So really think about what kind of persona or avatar of the group that you're selling to have, and try to match that identity. So for the static ads or the text copy, you would match the tone of voice, the vocabularies, maybe if there's certain emojis they use. But when it comes to UGC script, you also want to match the creator that is creating the video to kind of similar to the type of audience that you're trying to reach. So if your audience is like Asian, you want to hire Asian creator, so it's creating more resonance subconsciously because you are the same race, maybe similar age group. If they're in 20s, then maybe Asian creator in 20s, and just really try to match that to have more subconscious resonance. The second thing is it only applies to startups. So when you write a copy, you should really niche down, because when you're a bigger brand, you're maybe even trying to expand your customer base and trying to grab them as your new customers. But if you're a small brand, you really don't have too much marketing budget, and it is really important for you to get the highest ROAS as much as possible. So for that to happen, the more specific your copy is, the higher the conversions are. I'm going to introduce different content types so you have different ideas on what kind of ads are there, and maybe can come up with different ideas of what your next ad launch should be. I will be probably covering almost everything when it comes to creative types. The first type is the educational ad. So it doesn't really look like an ad because you're just really creating content that's educational for your audiences. So, hormones that impact hair growth, for example, this kind of ad, or symptoms of low testosterone, how to soak in magnesium soak, and things like that. So it just really looks like a useful social media post where content, it can also be done in a video form as well. It just looks like a very educational organic content, and it gets a lot of engagement naturally because instead of asking for sales, you're just giving value to people. Naturally, it builds a lot of authority. They typically get more engagement as well. People also build more trust towards your brand because you're kind of showing your expertise from this type of ads. And the best way to practice this type of ads is to come up with valuable information that is related to the product that you're trying to sell, and also make sure that they're very helpful at the same time, and showcase the information as a top of the funnel strategy. So this is better for the top of the funnel since they get a lot of engagement, they look more organic, so people are less resistant to it. So it really has a mass appeal. So this is the first type of ad. The second type of ad is the testimonial ads, and you've probably seen this everywhere. Testimonial ads are the type of ads that use real customer testimonial as the main part of the advertisement, and it works because it creates a lot of trust and credibility since it really shows how people have already benefited from this product. The best way to practice this type of ad is earlier, I don't know if you remember because it's already a few slides ago, but when you're doing the research, I also asked you to gather up the unique reviews that you have, unique positive reviews that you have for your product. And this is like a good place to use it. So if there is the review that talks about the benefit of your product, but in a very unique way that's like kind of memorable, such as this product makes me feel like 30 at age 60. Like that's very interesting, and it also is very specific. If you have reviews like this, that's also candid, it's positive and unique, they work really well as a advertisement. So this type of ad, you just put the review in a graphic form while you show like your product and the review and the name. You may or may not share the photo of the customer, but just like the name, it's a very simple type of ad that is very, very effective. And also, if the ad is mentioning we tried many other products, it failed, but this one works really well. Those type of reviews also work quite well for the creatives. The next type is social proof. Social proof ads are basically ads that shows the featured on certain magazines as seen on certain platforms, and also it can be based on testimonials or popularity metrics like 17,000 reviews or 17,000 customers are happy with it and things like that, and basically just showing any sort of social proof, like social proof from Trustpilot. It shows how it has a high rating on Trustpilot and also have been featured on all these platforms, and it instantly grows credibility and trust for your audience, and also it shows your authority. It really helps people to believe that the solution will work because it has already been vetted by many different platforms or by other people. And this type of ads is another creative type that works quite well. And the best way to practice it is just look through the review or amount of reviews you have, or if you have done any PR exposure, just write down anything that you think would give you a social proof and craft an ad based on that point, whether it's like a PR or like you have a lot of reviews or you have like a lot of positive reviews, like a 99% of the customers are happy with the products and things like that. The point out ads are one of the most common types, and I'm pretty sure you've seen this many times on social media. But the point out ads are basically just a style of ad that points out the features and benefits of the product. It works really well because they've done a study, and apparently the people, when they're exposed to point out ads, they remember the features and benefits better. And this is also a really good way to show USP, like a unique selling point, because it's just you have a couple of points out and you can put a unique selling point as one of the point outs. And the most important thing with the point out ad is the headlines, and make sure this ad is working quite well. But usually we recommend not putting too many points because Otherwise, it's going to be really crowded and it's going to be harder for people to read. So do like less than 5 bullet points are the kind of formula that we've seen the most success. Negative marketing. So negative marketing is basically having like a negative headline, like warnings, the worst. So it kind of grabs people's attention on, normally they would see a ad that talks about only positive point, but because these talk about negative points, people will be like, what is the worst? And basically pay more attention. So that's the why this type of ads work. But because it does have a negative headlines, there can be a little bit of risk to it as well, a little bit of maybe misunderstanding. So really need to use wisely. I'm going to go faster because I'll be posting this presentation in the comments or under this video, and you can look at it in detail. And there's so many different types of ads, so I'm just gonna try to go through it really quickly. The next type is the before and after ads. So basically showing in any form the before using the product and after using the product. It doesn't always have to be like a photo of before and after. It can be with statistics, like 72% of people seeing a big improvement, or in this ad, for example, it shows how the stats have increased, but it's not really showing the person himself. It works really well because it really demonstrates the transformation and make the product more relatable to the consumers. The next is statistics ad. So if you have a positive statistics of your product, how it has improved people's lives, you can put a hard number to the ad. 76%, 90%, 91% of the people have seen the growth or success or transformation. And because these are hard numbers, it really gives you authority and helps people to build trust as well. Us versus them. This is typically the ad that a lot of the new companies see the most success. And so it's basically comparing two products, your competitor products and yours, and it's like a really strong way to show your unique selling point, why your product is better basically. And it is effective because it communicates how your product is superior compared to your competitors, and it's just really memorable because it's just a couple of call outs on why your product is better. Intrigue ad. So intrigue ad is basically an ad that kind of, this is like a good example of it. It's a sensitive content, those content that gets blurred out because it is a sensitive content on social media. Obviously this is just a product, but they use this format to gain attention. And this kind of ad is, well, not just in a static form, but one of those ads that you see, maybe it looks like, I think it's kind of going on a lot these days, but maybe like a very dangerous videos of somebody falling from like a stairs in a very dangerous way, and it makes you like a little bit like surprised when you see the ad, and then it turns into actually like an advertisement of a product. So those type of ad, we classify them as intrigue ad because it is like intriguing, I guess, in a very negative way. And oftentimes these intrigue points or these hooks have nothing to do with the product itself, but it's just putting any sort of really shocking factor in the beginning or in the graphics, in the aesthetics, to just, the whole point is just to gain attention. And it can have some negative effect on your brand, so you really need to use it carefully and if it makes sense for your brand. So the FAQ ad is just one of these ads that looks like someone is asking a question on TikTok, or they maybe are even asking the actual question on TikTok, and if you reply to the comment, it shows up like this on TikTok organics. So it's basically just answering any question that potential buyer might have about your product. And I have tested this ad with multiple brands in the past, and they work really well in my opinion, also because they look more organic and less like an ad, because this is obviously very not like crazy professional or anything. It's just like a reply feature on TikTok. So it looks extra organic, but also would answer the questions that a lot of your potential customers would have. and that would result in moving them towards the purchasing decision because their objections or their concerns or confusions are answered through these ads. So that'll be a really good ad for middle of the funnel. When it comes to the funnel that I talked about earlier, multiple products ad. So it's this type of ads where they show multiple colors of the same products. They use that a lot for like beauty things, foundations, and things like that. And they just work really well, just giving different options to your future customers. And I guess makes your brain gets into the mode of, okay, so which color should I pick? There are like lots of options. So these type of products where ads seem simple, but they actually work really well. So if you have products with multiple color, that's an option. And this is text ads, so this is kind of like a newer ads that we see a lot these days that didn't really exist a couple of years ago, probably because of the Facebook rule. But it just looks like a screenshot of your Notes app or your comments or even your iPhone text, and you're basically using this format to get your point across. So primarily using text to get your points across. But the interesting thing about these type of ads is that they just look like a screenshot of something, like a screenshot of Twitter, screenshot of Notes app on Mac. They look very organic, and I think that's one of the reasons why it works well. Okay, so and there is one more ad type that I didn't mention here that I forgot to mention because I was creating this presentation really quickly yesterday. But one of the ad types that works really well these days is a founder's ad, where it doesn't always have to be founders, but basically talking about why you started the brand. And I didn't include the examples here, but maybe you have seen it, not necessarily as an advertisement form, but just in an organic way. If you visit different brands' social media page, there is like a video about why I started this brand, because I had this type of problem, so I wanted to create this type of solution. And when a founder comes out and talks about it, it's extra effective because people feel really connected and feel like personal with the founder, him or herself. And using that as an advertisement form in 2024 has been working quite well. So I really want to mention that real quick. But it can be just other people on the team as well, maybe like a marketing manager or just somebody in the team that's involved in the process, really talk about what's cool about this brand and how this brand has started. And it really helps people to feel more personal with the brand. So that's a good ad type, especially in a video form. It's usually in a video form, so it's a good ad type that you might want to consider, especially if you're a small brand that's just starting out. And that is amazing for the top of the funnel. Ad analysis, another very important process of creating a great ad, is also analyzing what is working and what is not working. And you typically want to do it every 7 days. So basically every week, you want to pick a week, maybe like Monday, every Friday, every Wednesday, to do the ad analysis of how your ad has performed the last 7 days. Also, you want to do it every 30 days and every quarter. But in our agencies, we also do it every 2 weeks. So every 7 days, every 2 weeks, and every 30 days. Data on basically what has worked, what hasn't worked, what format worked, what message worked, and what didn't work, and why. What type of ad? Was it educational ad, negative marketing, before and after? Which type of ad worked well and why? Which creators' ad performed well and why as well? The why is the important part. You really want to know why something worked and why something didn't work, so you can move that element and kind of spread that into different areas as well. So for example, if it was like a specific creator, maybe she's a mini influencer, she has a lot of credibility in the field, and that's why it worked, that you want to maybe work with more mini influencers or influencers in general with credibility and already like an audience of followers. So where if it is the message that has worked well, again with like a frizzy shampoo, this shampoo, if you had this angle of this shampoo works really well in calming down your frizz in rain. I think I keep mentioning because my hair is really frizzy myself. But if that is the reason why it worked really well, then you want to translate that concept of like rain and frizzy hair into different format. Maybe if it was a video format, you want to try in a image format, or you can maybe use the same setting, different creator, or maybe kind of talk about the same problem with different type of hooks, different type of sceneries, and try to create more or multiply more of the winning ads by using the winning element. And for you to know that, it's very, very important for you to analyze closely the creatives, how it's performing, and then which element contributes to the success of the ad that was a winning ad. How to hire a good creator. I think that might be the last slide. So one of the most important things, unless you're creating a static, then okay, you can create it with a designer or yourself. But if you are hiring a creator, it is a very important part of the success of your campaign. And this also, I'm saying this from my experience of creating lots of creatives with different creators. The creator really does matter in terms of the success. So how to hire a good creator? One of the tips that I want to share is that you want to hire an actual creator instead of a UGC creators. There might be good, I'm not saying that don't hire UGC creators at all. There would be good UGC creators out there that are really, really good with camera, the reactions and things like that. But if you are going to, I guess, work with UGC creators that are maybe a bit awkward with the camera, like awkward in front of camera, it might be even more helpful to just work with like a mini influencer that have already been creating contents in the same field many times. They're really used to it and they already have an audience, so there's a little bit of credibility and following as well that would be helpful for promoting your products. And they will be more genuine. They already know the kind of vocabulary, the kind of audience that use this type of product. So just like a little tip is, if there is no huge cost associated with it, it might even be helpful to work with like a mini influencers, influencers with less than 10k following, less than 30k following. If you can find in like a mini influencers that's good like that. And lately we have also seen a trend of using a mini influencer, and how that is often bringing or contributes to bring better ROAS than like a regular, like a UGC creator. And we have really noticed that since last year. So that's just like a little tip. You don't always have to follow it. There are also a lot of excellent UGC creators that can create amazing creatives, but always check the portfolio. Portfolios really represent their work. Most of the time I have usually not been surprised when I get the final video from them. It's usually quite similar to the portfolio. So check out the portfolio. If their UGC portfolio is good, then there's no problem working with UGC creators as well. But there's also an option to work with mini influencers as well. So just wanted to mention that. And okay, so our agency, we have created some winning templates, winning static ads template that you can go into and just basically change the logo and text and the copy inside the templates to create a winning static ad. So if you want to check that out, you can click the link here. I don't think it is linked, but I will have to link it after this video. But I hope this was helpful. It's actually a lot longer than I expected. I was gonna make it really short, and I really tried, but maybe I just talked too much. So let me know if you have any questions in the comment section below, and I will see you in another video. Thank you.